pushing harder than ever to find small improvements in areas like suspension, materials and aerodynamics. More on that later, which often come with a complete disregard for safety. So when the 50s and 60s came and went, we were left with extremely fast cars with basically no safety features whatsoever. I'll be talking a bit more about the 50s and 60s shortly, but for now, let's focus on the absolute insanity of Formula One in the 1970s. To help you understand just how insane 1970s F1 was, I want to show you a couple of the wildest crashes first so you can see just what we're dealing with. Viewer discretion is advised. The first crash I just showed was from the 1973 British Grand Prix, which saw one of the biggest pile-ups ever, involving 8 cars after Jody Scheckter spun on the straight. These cars weren't known for taking impacts well, let alone huge side impacts, so imagine how ridiculously painful and terrifying these would have been from inside the cockpit. And of course, Niki Lauda's crash in 1976 became one of, if not the most famous crash of all time. The aftermath of what looked like a pretty tame impact with the barrier was shocking. His Ferrari broke up and caught fire immediately, highlighting the complete lack of safety inherent in these machines. And these were just 4 accidents where the drivers survived. Can you imagine how horrific the 12 fatal crashes really were? So how did F1 get to this point in the first place? Well, looking back, we often wonder how the races were allowed to take place at all. I mean, who thought it would be a good idea to drive around at 200 miles per hour, sitting between 2 fuel tanks in a tin can? It's hard to believe it now, but that's exactly what they were doing. The 70s allowed for a huge amount of technical freedom, from engines to aerodynamics, chassis and suspensions. This produced some of the most iconic cars in F1 history, like the bonkers 6-wheel Tyrrell P34, or the downforce deranged Brabham BT46B. The FIA wouldn't be a big fan of that today. Anyway, as cool as these cars were, they weren't always the most reliable, and definitely not the safest. Crashes were common, and usually catastrophic. In total, the 1970s saw 12 driver deaths. To put that into perspective, in the last 30 years, we've thankfully only had 3 deaths, and 2 of those happened during that horrible weekend in 1994.
Roland Ratzenberger succumbed to injuries sustained in the accident which took place at Imola Circuit during Saturday qualifying practice, April the 30th.
But a spokesman for the hospital in Bologna said there was no chance he would survive. 2 drivers killed in 24 hours. Where does this leave Formula One racing?
While the 50s and 60s weren't exactly incident-free either, it was the 1970s that made everyone realize that it was getting severely out of hand. The safety was far behind where it needed to be in so many areas, and to make matters worse, the cars were only getting faster and faster each season. It simply couldn't continue. So let's take a look at what finally made the world stand up, take notice and start implementing improvements. In 1950 in Monaco, pole position was set by Juan Manuel Fangio with a time of 150.2. In 1970, at the same track, Jackie Stewart set a 124 dead. That's 26 seconds faster around the same track in just 20 years. Of course, teams could improve their cars so much quicker than they can today, because they had so much more to learn and so few regulations. I mean, back then, the extent of their knowledge in aerodynamics ended at thinking the car should be narrow and pointy to cut through the air. Who needs downforce anyway? Like Enzo Ferrari said in 1960.
Aerodynamics are for people who can't build engines.
He may have been il commendatore, but his command over front and rear wings wasn't what you'd call strong. Even back then, this was a pretty ridiculous statement. Many other teams disagreed with Enzo and started working more and more on the aerodynamic aspects of racing, and very soon, a revolution would be born. Things began to change fast when teams started adding downforce to cars. It was led by the legendary Colin Chapman, who went to Monaco in 1968 with the Lotus 49B that he had designed. The other teams were shocked when they realized how much effort he had put into it. It had 2 small front wings and a very small ducktail rear wing. This of course gave an increase.
And thumbs its nose at the envious French. Yes, this is Monaco, that rich stretch of coast, less than 1 square mile of it, where millionaires meet to indulge in almost every luxury that money can buy. Monte Carlo, with its towering hotels and office blocks, is more than just the center of this tiny principality. It's a mecca for those who cannot resist the temptation of plunging into that temple of luck, the casino, where fortunes change hands with every spin of the roulette wheel. Yet even here, time and money have not taken over the Toy Town charm guarding the palatial home of Prince Rainier. Somehow, it all seems out of step with reality. That atmosphere created by the Prince's storybook wedding to actress Grace Kelly still lingers on. Little Monaco need not fear invasion, except for peace-loving thousands who flock here every year to seek excitement in the casino or sunshine on the beaches. Or maybe just to wander away from the traditional sights and taste the unmistakable French influence which is all around. Yet you can drift away from 20th century intrusions to explore those mountain retreats which seem quite unmoved by the prosperity and progress just a few kilometers along the coast. Vallauris, where the pottery craftsmen scorn modern technical aids and where evidence of their skill is a colorful greeting down every alley and every cobbled street. The potters of Vallauris are proud of their timeless traditions, which no visitor can fail to see. Even the old village fountain is a tool of his trade, a trade which remembers the years when Picasso lived and worked here. Now there is only his life-size statue in the market square, yet it is still the real signpost to skill. The memory and the touch of Picasso are as strong as ever. Surely he would have approved of the artists who today work on in an atmosphere which the legendary painter knew so well. Strange, don't you think, that this link with the past overlooks a world of new values and concepts? A world which perhaps admires the work of such artists, but never really appreciates it. Yet the men and women who work here at Vallauris still retain the unchanging methods of making ceramic tiles. They still retain that pride in the perfection of their art, which begins simply enough by taking a mold of a leaf or a twig. Everywhere you turn in Vallauris, you'll see a collection of tiles or vases, ornaments and miniature sculptures. Every painted sign will announce the importance of this tiny French mountain village. Just who can tell the secret of Vallauris? Is there some hint in the fact that even the potter gets his inspiration from nature? For this is a stretch of coastline which encourages many artistic talents, like those who capture on canvas the varying delights of the Côte d'Azur. It's hard to believe that Aix village was once a medieval fortress. Time, of course, has erased the bitter memories, and now it is a paradise for those who come to paint, and for those who merely want a sample of Mediterranean seclusion and sunshine. The tiny streets winding cautiously between the ancient houses give little hint of the surrounding magnificence, for Aix stands on a high pinnacle 1,000 feet above the sea. "1,000 feet high, and the opulence of Monte Carlo gives way to the need for donkey transport. The villagers have long since discovered the value of this, and you will too if you trek high into the castle ramparts to explore the exotic cacti garden.